face. It is fun applying makeup, of course. You know, sometimes we kind of cling on to certain lip glosses or certain eyeshadows or brushes, and we sometimes forget makeup, just like food and medication and prescriptions and things like that. It does expire. Some quick and easy guidelines as to how to make sure that your makeup is clean and sanitary and it is healthy and all that, and you are getting the most out of your makeup. With any foundation, go ahead and purchase something with a pump or something where you're not really dipping your hands in a little container like that. The Maybelline Dream Matte Mousses, they come in an open screw jar, and then the foundation you actually have to pick up with your fingertips or a brush or something. So something like that you don't want to keep too long. I know Revlon, the Color Stay, it has like a screw top jar, and then you have to pull it in. So if you're dealing with something like that and then you're putting it back in, you're just kind of putting any bacteria, any germs that you might have on your fingertips. Even if you just washed your hands with soap, and even if you sanitize, if you're putting it on your hand, then you're putting it back in, the oil and anything else, you know, sweat, things like that we might not realize are on your hands are going back into the container, and then you're spreading germs, spreading bacteria, which is not a good thing for your skin, especially if you're prone to breakout. I know sometimes people use different shades in the summertime and different shades in the winter times. If you're not applying foundation every day, it's hard to run out of the foundation. So what I like to do is, instead of buying 2-3 foundations at a time, I like to finish the foundation that I'm using before I go out and invest in another foundation. So that way I'm getting the most out of my product, especially if you're going to be purchasing a high-end brand such as MAC, Makeup Forever, something like that. You want to get the most out of it rather than saving it and holding on to it. You don't want to do that. That's probably the worst thing that you can do. Foundation guidelines should be about 6 months to a year, depending on how much you use your foundation. If it has something like the foundation I'm currently using, which is a brush on top, I don't use this directly on my face. I squirt it and then I put it onto my wrist, which I think is a little bit more sanitary. Other than that, I would not advise using it straight on your face, because think about it. You're applying the foundation to your face, and then what do we do when we're in a hurry? You close the lid and you put it away. You pick it up the next day. You're reapplying all that oil, bacteria, dirt on your face. It's just that you don't want to do that. That's gross. You're spreading bacteria. Even if you do it twice, trust me, you don't want to be doing that. If you are using something like that, I would say get like a little applicator if you can, a little plastic applicator. They're easy to wash. Just take the little applicator, pick it up with that. It's like a little plastic spatula. And then put everything that you're going to need on your hand beforehand, and then work with whatever's on your hand. It's much easier than continuously using your finger, dipping it into the foundation. Even if you're using something like the Revlon Color Stay, you don't want to be putting it back in there. It's a lot better to be putting a little bit on your hand than I just wash away whatever's left on my hand. It's much more, cost effective than you putting it back in there, than you getting breakouts and you have to be purchasing medication and things like that for your face. So you're better off to put a little on your hand, put it on your face, whatever you have left, just rinse off. If you are using something like the brushes on top, make sure you are rinsing and washing that. Like any other brushes, you want to washing them at least once a week. Foundations, about 6 months to a year. If they're older than that, throw them out. If you have a hard time remembering, buy those little stickers. You can even print them out at home. But it's a good idea to maybe write when, let's say I purchased this January 2012. So I'll just write expiration January 2013. Just a little guideline for me to know, hey, it's still in there, I need to throw it out. Concealers in a jar, same thing. I wouldn't keep them more than a year. And same with cream blushes, any cream eyeshadow pots or anything like that. I know a lot of people like to keep some extras. Don't buy extras. I would say just use the 1 or 2 that you have. But don't go out and buy 6 of them and then you're just using those 6 jars for 3 years or something. So you don't want to do that. The concealers that come in a tube, and you unscrew the tube, and it's something like that. There's no way that you could really get bacteria in this unless you're putting it on and then putting it back in or something. So something like this can last you a little bit longer. There's no way of air really getting in there. So something like this, I would say that you can use for about a year and a half or so. You can kind of tell by the consistency after a while if it's something that you bought is really runny and liquidy, and after a certain time it starts getting dried out. Kind of like mascara, you can kind of tell about the consistency. Once you see that, or if it starts getting different smell or different odor to it, toss it out. With something like this, I would say about a year to a year and a half, unless you see the consistency kind of changing or the product changing colors. Compacts and things like that. It comes with a little sponge applicator. This is really dirty, so this is a good example of this. You only want to be using these once or twice and then wash them. Like the wedges that you apply foundation with, I would toss those out. Those are meant to be one-time use. You can probably wash them about once, but then I would toss it. But if it's something that comes with your, compact powders and you're putting that in your purse and then you're putting it right over, you don't want to be doing that. Most compacts nowadays come with another thing where you could pick it up from the bottom. You can't get this in the state, but this is a good example. You can usually pick it up and then underneath there's usually a compartment with little holes that's meant for your little sponge applicator to put in so that it could breathe on the other side and get a little ventilation. So you want to be putting it there other than putting it directly on the powder. Most compact powders, I would say, last a good 8 months to about a year. If you're using the same sponge applicator throughout the whole lifespan until you hit pan on the compact powder, you know that you're doing something wrong. You can buy like a big bag of probably 8 to 12, I think even from the dollar stores. They're very inexpensive and it's something that a lot of us forget to do, and I know in a hurry sometimes it's all you have in your bag. So maybe you want to keep 2 to 3 extra new sponge applicators in your cosmetic bag when you're on the go. That way you are not reusing the old one. Our eyeshadows, our blushes, anything powder based. You do not want to be taking your product and taking your finger, kind of enticing as this may seem when you get a brand new product and we're doing our swatches. I know a lot of us do this. Do not, I repeat, take your fingertips and put them directly onto the product to get a swatch. That is the worst thing that you can do for your product because your fingertips always have oil on them no matter how dry they seem. But what you're doing is you're transferring the oils on your fingertips into the product, and then what you're doing is the product, which isn't meant for you to be putting your fingertips in, is picking up that oil and absorbing the oil from your fingertips and skin, and that's getting into the product. And slowly, if you're doing this all the time, like I remember when I first started wearing eyeshadows, I used to use my fingertips. So I used to just take an eyeshadow palette, put my fingertips, and go like that every day. And you can see about a week, 2 weeks, even a month, it starts getting this build up. Like I don't have something to show you at the moment, but it starts building up and it starts getting kind of rough. It's not the same smooth finish. I know all of you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't need to go in and explain that, but once that starts happening, you know what you're doing. Don't do it, and that product needs to go because it's not in the same state. It doesn't apply like it used to. So you basically ruin the product by getting oil into the product. If you are wanting to swatch a product, take a Q-tip or a cotton bud, swipe that into the product, and you can get a good swatch as well. I would say you can keep blushes and things like that probably up to 2 years. Because it is a powder product, it's not as prone to getting bacteria in there. You want a table where sunlight is hitting all the time, or under a windowsill where wind can get into the product. These are very common things that I know I shouldn't probably even be repeating, but believe it or not, a lot of us might have a table, vanity, or desk right underneath the windowsill. Our products decay over time and we're not even aware of what we're doing. So applying your makeup in the bathroom, the steam and condensation from your shower, your hot showers and all that, get into your makeup. So your makeup should not be be in your bathroom unless you kind of have like a cabinet or vanity off to the side. Over time, it kind of builds up and creates moisture and bacteria and all of that. So make sure you're not putting it in the bathroom. All of your powdered products, I would say you can keep those for about a good 2 years or so if you're not seeing any discoloring or oil buildup or things like that. And that's if you are taking care of your products, of course. So that would be a good 2 years or so.